While much of the world was busy focusing on the battery range and charging speeds of Tesla, BYD, and other electric vehicle companies, Mercedes made a quiet but significant move behind the scenes, one that has caught the entire auto industry off guard. Without any major event or hype, Mercedes confirmed that the YASA Flux motor is not just speculation anymore, but a real, working technology. This is where things get really interesting. The YASA Flux motor isn't just another upgrade. It's being seen as a potential game changer that could reshape how we think about electric vehicles. Imagine a motor that's smaller and lighter, yet delivers more power. That idea alone has sparked serious discussions among automotive experts everywhere. What makes this motor so unique is that it operates very differently from traditional electric motors. Mercedes doesn't view it as just an improvement, but as a key part of its future strategy. Surprisingly, the company has been working on this technology for quite some time, only choosing now to reveal it publicly. This raises some big questions. Is Mercedes aiming to challenge Tesla's dominance directly? Could this innovation redefine EV pricing, performance, and design all at once? In this video, we'll slowly uncover Mercedes's real strategy. What is it about the YASA Flux motor that's making the industry so restless? And why are people saying this is only the beginning? Stay with us until the end, because the most surprising part is still ahead. So what exactly is YASA? At first glance, many people assume YASA is just another company producing standard electric motors. But in reality, it represents a completely different way of thinking, one that challenges how the EV world approaches innovation. YASA doesn't start by asking what the market wants. Instead, it begins by identifying problems and creating solutions that set new benchmarks. Founded in the UK, YASA didn't emerge from a large corporate group, but from a university lab. It was built on a strong engineering mindset, where the goal wasn't to follow trends, but to fundamentally improve how electric motors work. At a time when most companies were trying to make motors slightly lighter or a bit faster, YASA took a bold step and asked, why not rethink the entire design? This is where YASA truly stands apart. Traditional electric motors are usually cylindrical, long, and take up considerable space inside a vehicle. In contrast, YASA developed what's known as a flux motor, a flat, disc-like design. It might seem like a small change, but it makes a huge difference. A flatter motor means it takes up less space, weighs less, and can still deliver more power. YASA has always focused on one key principle: power-to-weight ratio. Simply put, if two motors produce the same power but one is significantly lighter, that lighter motor is clearly superior. Reducing weight has multiple benefits. It improves vehicle range, enhances handling, and boosts overall performance. This philosophy became central to YASA's identity. That's also why YASA never joined the race to mass-produce low-cost motors. Instead, it focused on creating high-performance, premium technology. The company believed that if its innovation was strong enough, the right partners would naturally come. And that's exactly what happened. Initially, YASA motors were used in supercars and high-end automotive projects, where every kilogram and every millisecond matters. Another thing that sets YASA apart is its low-profile approach. The company doesn't rely on flashy marketing or constant announcements. Instead, it spends years quietly researching and refining its technology. Only when everything is fully ready does it present its work to the world. That's why when a major automaker partners with YASA, it's taken seriously. It's not seen as an experiment, but as a well-thought-out, long-term strategy. YASA stands apart from other motor companies because it doesn't just focus on selling motors. Instead, it takes a complete system-level approach, looking at how the motor, battery, cooling system, and control software can all work together seamlessly. In other words, it doesn't just build a component. It designs the motor with the entire vehicle's performance in mind. Today, Competition in the electric vehicle space is no longer limited to range or charging speed. It has expanded to include performance, efficiency, and design. In this environment, the importance of a company like YASA naturally grows. That's why when a brand like Mercedes partners with them, it's seen as a major move rather than a small step. Now let's understand what a flux motor actually is. At first, the term might sound highly technical or difficult to grasp, but the concept is quite simple when explained clearly. A flux motor isn't some mysterious technology. It's essentially a different way of arranging and using components. The real difference lies in the approach rather than the basic technology. To understand this better, think about a typical electric motor. Most EVs today use motors that are long and cylindrical, almost like a standing water bottle. These motors rotate in a single direction and take up a significant amount of space inside the vehicle. Because of their shape and size, they heavily influence how a car is designed, where the battery is placed, where the motor sits, and how other components are arranged. This is where the flux motor changes things. Instead of being long and cylindrical, a flux motor is flat, more like a disc or a plate. It's wide and thin rather than tall and bulky. This simple change in shape makes a big difference. A flatter motor can be installed in multiple locations within the car, near the wheels, under the floor, or close to the drive system. This gives engineers far more flexibility when designing the vehicle. Now let's talk about power. Most people assume that bigger machines produce more power, but flux motors challenge that idea. Despite being smaller and lighter, they can deliver impressive power. Think of it as a compact engine with strong pulling ability. The result? Faster acceleration, smoother driving, and easier overtaking. Another major advantage is efficiency. Flux motors convert electrical energy into usable power more effectively than traditional motors. This means less energy is wasted as heat and more is used to actually move the car. As a result, the battery experiences less strain, which directly improves the vehicle's range. For everyday drivers, this simply means traveling farther on a single charge. There's another benefit too: weight reduction. A lighter motor means a lighter vehicle overall, and a lighter vehicle needs less energy to operate, leading to better efficiency, improved range, and reduced wear on components like tires and brakes. In short, a flux motor doesn't just improve one part of the car, it enhances the performance of the entire vehicle. But if this technology is so effective, why isn't everyone using it? The answer is simple: it's not easy to build. Flux motors require extremely precise engineering, advanced manufacturing processes, and extensive testing. That's why many companies still rely on traditional motor designs that are easier to produce and already well established. However, companies that are thinking long-term and preparing for the future are starting to adopt technologies like this. And this is where YASA plays a key role. YASA didn't just develop the idea of a flux motor. They made it practical, reliable, and ready for real-world use. That's a significant achievement. Many technologies look promising on paper but fail under real driving conditions. The flux motor, however, has now reached a stage where it can be used in everyday vehicles. Small size and high power might sound hard to believe at first, but that's exactly what makes this technology such a potential game changer. There's a long-standing belief that bigger engines produce more power, but the YASA Flux motor challenges that idea completely. Despite being smaller and lighter, it delivers significantly higher power, which is why many consider it a true game changer in the EV world today. One of the biggest advantages of a smaller motor is the freedom it gives to car design. Traditional electric motors are bulky and take up a lot of space, often forcing engineers to make compromises. In contrast, the Flux motor's flat and compact design allows it to be placed more strategically within the vehicle. This can lower the car's floor, create more cabin space, and offer greater flexibility in design. The result is a car that looks sleek and sporty on the outside while feeling more spacious and comfortable inside. Weight is another key factor. A lighter car always performs better, whether it's petrol or electric. Because the flux motor is lightweight, it reduces the overall weight of the vehicle. This directly improves range, enhances handling, and allows for more controlled braking. For the driver, it means a more confident and enjoyable driving experience. Now comes the big question. How can such a small motor produce so much power? The answer lies in efficiency. A flux motor uses energy much more effectively. In traditional motors, a portion of energy is lost as heat. But in a flux motor, more of that energy is converted directly into motion. Simply put, there's less waste and more output, like getting better mileage with less fuel. This efficiency also enhances one of the most exciting aspects of electric vehicles: instant torque. The flux motor takes this to another level. The moment you press the accelerator, the car responds immediately, without any delay. Whether you're driving in city traffic or overtaking on the highway, the response feels quick and effortless, making the car more fun to drive. When it comes to speed, it's not just about being fast, it's about being smooth. The flux motor delivers power in a steady and controlled way, avoiding sudden jerks. This makes long drives less tiring and gives the driver a sense of reliability and comfort. Efficiency, however, remains the most important factor today. The flux motor makes better use of the battery's electricity, which means you can get more range from the same charge. But it's not just about going farther. It also affects battery health. Since the motor runs cooler and wastes less energy, it puts less strain on the battery. This helps maintain the battery's condition over time, improving both its lifespan and overall performance. When people talk about electric vehicles, the focus is usually on the battery, its size, charging speed, and range. But what often gets overlooked is how closely the battery's performance is linked to the motor. You can think of the battery and motor like the heart and body. If the body functions efficiently, the heart doesn't have to work as hard. Similarly, when the motor uses electricity intelligently, the battery operates under less stress. In traditional systems, some of the battery's energy is wasted as heat, causing faster drain and higher temperatures. But with efficient motors like the flux motor, more energy is used productively. The result is less heat, less waste, and better overall efficiency. One clear benefit is increased driving range. With the same battery and the same charge, the car can travel more distance. For most people, that simply means fewer charging stops and less worry during daily use. Battery life is another crucial factor, especially over the long term. In electric vehicles, batteries naturally degrade over time, particularly when they are subjected to high stress, like rapid acceleration, heavy loads, or inefficient motors. But when the motor is lightweight, efficient, and well optimized, the strain on the battery is reduced, helping it last longer and perform better over time. As a result, the battery stays in better condition for a longer time. In simple terms, a more efficient motor doesn't just improve the car's range today, it also reduces concerns for the next 5 to 7 years. That's what separates a smart, future-ready decision from a rushed one. This brings us to an important question. What is Mercedes's real strategy behind all of this? At first glance, it might seem like Mercedes is simply trying to make its luxury electric cars better, but the reality runs much deeper. Mercedes-Benz has never seen itself as just a car manufacturer. It's a company that values control. Control over technology, quality, and the direction of the future. In the era of petrol and diesel vehicles, this control came from engines and gearboxes. In the EV era, that control shifts to motors and software. If a company relies on external suppliers for motors, it becomes dependent on them. Any disruption, whether it's supply issues, rising costs, or delays in innovation, can affect the entire production process. Mercedes wants to avoid that risk. That's why it aims to take control of its own motor technology. This isn't just a short-term move, it's a long-term strategy for the next decade. As the EV market becomes more competitive, the real advantage will belong to companies that own their core technologies. Mercedes also understands that luxury today isn't just about premium materials or large screens. True luxury is about how a car feels when you drive it: quiet, smooth, and consistently reliable. Now, why is this development being seen as a wake-up call for companies like Tesla and BYD? Whenever a major technological shift happens in the EV world, its impact goes far beyond a single company. It puts pressure directly on the current leaders, and that's exactly what's happening with the YASA Flux motor. From the outside, it may look like just another upgrade from Mercedes. But in reality, it's a signal to major players like Tesla and BYD that the game is changing. Both companies have dominated the EV space in their own ways. Tesla has built its reputation on performance, advanced software, and motor efficiency. BYD, on the other hand, has focused on battery innovation, cost efficiency, and large-scale production. Until now, the competition has largely revolved around range, charging speed, and affordability. But the Flux motor has the potential to shift the focus entirely. Now, motor quality itself could become the deciding factor. If a company can deliver more power, better efficiency, and longer battery life with a lighter motor, then the competition moves beyond just range or price. For Tesla, this presents a new challenge. Its biggest strength has always been its motor and drivetrain technology. If Mercedes can match or even surpass that driving experience with Flux motors, Tesla's image as a technology leader could be affected, especially in the premium segment where overall driving feel matters more than just specifications. For BYD, the challenge is different. Its strength lies in in-house battery production, scale, and affordability. But if Flux motors can extract more performance and range from the same battery, the importance of simply using larger batteries may decrease. This could change the entire cost and efficiency equation. Another key shift is that competition is no longer just about how many EVs are sold, but how well they are built. If Mercedes delivers a smoother, quieter, and more refined driving experience, it could attract premium customers who may start looking beyond Tesla and BYD. Customer trust plays a major role here, especially in a rapidly evolving market like EVs. There's also one more important point. Both Tesla and BYD are known for moving quickly. If Flux motor technology proves successful, they won't stand still. They'll either push their own motor innovations further or pivot in a new direction. This means the competition ahead won't just be about market share. It will be about who can innovate faster and stay ahead in a rapidly changing industry. The EV race is no longer a short sprint. It has become a long-distance marathon. The companies that choose the right technologies for the future will be the ones that stay ahead. In this journey, the Flux motor represents a major turning point, where many of the advantages companies relied on in the past could suddenly lose their importance. Now, the big question is, which Mercedes cars will get this technology first? The answer isn't as simple as naming one specific model. It's about understanding how Mercedes introduces innovation. The company has a clear pattern. It doesn't roll out new technology in its mainstream cars right away. Instead, it starts where performance matters most and where customers are more open to cutting-edge features. That's why the first place to look is Mercedes-AMG. AMG has always acted as the brand's testing ground. Technologies that debut in AMG models often make their way into standard Mercedes cars later on. The Flux motor's key strengths, compact size, lightweight design, and high power, fit perfectly with AMG's performance-focused philosophy. AMG drivers expect quick acceleration, instant response, and a sporty feel. Now imagine an already fast electric AMG car equipped with a flux motor. It would be lighter, more powerful, and even more exciting to drive. Because of this, many believe the flux motor will first appear in an AMG Performance EV. After that, the next likely step would be high-end electric sedans and SUVs from Mercedes's EQ lineup. These vehicles are already known for their premium features and advanced technology. Buyers in this segment aren't just looking for comfort, they want something that stands out. Here, the flux motor could bring noticeable improvements: quieter operation, smoother power delivery, and better range, all without needing a larger battery. Another important factor is future vehicle platforms. Mercedes is developing new EV architectures designed from the ground up. The compact design of the flux motor fits perfectly into these platforms, giving engineers greater freedom. They can optimize where to place the battery, how to position the motor, and how to maximize interior space with fewer compromises. So why not introduce this technology directly into mainstream cars? The reason is simple: cost and risk. New technologies are usually introduced in segments where price is less of a concern. In premium and performance vehicles, customers are more willing to pay extra for innovation. This gives Mercedes two key advantages: the ability to test the technology in real-world conditions and the time to gradually reduce production costs. Once the flux motor proves itself in high-end models, it can slowly make its way into mid-range and eventually mainstream EVs. This step-by-step rollout has always been part of Mercedes's strategy: start at the top, then bring it down to the mass market. This leads to another important question. Will this technology remain limited to expensive cars, or will it eventually reach everyday buyers? At first glance, it may seem like such advanced technology will stay exclusive to luxury vehicles. But history tells a different story. Features like airbags, ABS, automatic transmissions, and even touchscreens all started in premium cars before becoming standard in everyday vehicles. The flux motor is likely to follow a similar path. Initially, it will appear in high-end EVs because of the complexity and cost of production. But as more companies adopt the technology and production scales up, costs are expected to come down. Over time, this means that average buyers could benefit from the same performance and efficiency that is currently limited to premium cars. Now, will customers be willing to pay extra for it? That depends on the experience. If buyers clearly see benefits like longer range, slower battery degradation, and smoother driving, many may be open to paying a bit more, especially if it saves money in the long run through better efficiency and durability. Looking ahead to the next 5 to 10 years, technologies like the flux motor could significantly reshape the EV industry. First, we'll likely see smaller and lighter motors, leading to lighter vehicles, more flexible designs, and improved range without increasing battery size. Second, there could be changes in the supply chain. Today, EV production depends heavily on specific materials and battery designs. If motors become more efficient, reliance on large batteries may decrease, giving companies more flexibility to control costs and explore alternatives. Finally, the nature of competition itself could change. So far, the EV race has focused mainly on batteries. Range and charging speed have dominated the conversation. But with innovations like flux motors, the spotlight may shift toward motors, software, and the overall driving experience. In other words, EVs may no longer be judged just by numbers, but by how they feel on the road.